Hello everyone, welcome to a new video for Tau, Virtuals, and XLM price prediction based on Elliott wave analysis. We're gonna start with Tau on the daily here, where we have our daily chart. We have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 toward the upside, a finished wave 1 or wave A, followed by a correction in wave W or wave 2. Followed another impulse for wave 1, potentially as a 1, 2, and you would like to see, of course, continuation toward the upside. Now, if we are in a double 1, 2 here, we start to see another impulse, but with a very long sideways wave 2, which, of course, decreasing the momentum to move, of course, upward somehow and start to lay down a question mark. What is going on? So basically, this is a very clear impulse upward, meaning the direction of the market is toward the upside. We're still looking for higher. And after this, a very, of course, sideways corrective wave, we can see that we have finished kind of like 5 waves downward here, which it can be labeled kind of like a 5 waves, a diagonal. But the problem with it is that the wave 4 is longer than the wave 2, which of course invalidate any kind of diagonal. And that means, of course, here and after this final impulse, we have to consider much more likely as an A, B, of course, as a running flat, and a wave C toward the downside, which it has finished 3 waves. And of course, finishing here a W, X, and a Y. So far, we can count this as a W, X, and a Y. Now, this W, X, and a Y can be finished or not yet. The question mark here is that we might still get, of course, a little bit lower prices, meaning in a WX and a Y, if the WX and a Y is here, can be, of course, kind of like, of course, here something very complex, or ABC, let's say, as 3 waves, and you got here kind of like an A, B, and a C, as I mentioned. Yeah, so in case that we're still looking for lower, it can be one more leg, potentially to take simply the low, because the low is not taken yet. And as you can see, if we take here the snap and we take a line from there, we can see the 886 has been taken, but we don't see, of course, a low, preferably still, of course, at least to reach the blue box, as of course I was expecting since a very long time ago with this blue box. And of course the range is very slow, I would say, and very annoying here. I don't see, of course, any kind of 1-2, definitely, even like without taking the low, it's not a 1-2, because of course this looks like 3 waves. Because if we don't take the low, it might look like a 1-2, and then we continue for higher. But this is not the case, I believe. I believe that the low has still to be taken somehow. And of course, therefore, we can start to see maybe something moving toward the upside. Yeah. On the lower time frame for virtuals, if we dive a little bit also deeper, we can see clearly that this can be, of course, a 1, a 2, and then wave 3, 4, and a 5. Now, the wave 5 is also questionable, because you see 1, 2, 3. Where is your wave 4 and a 5, right? So we don't see a finished, really clear wave 5, unless the wave 5 is still unfolding in a little bit more slower way as an ending diagonal here. So we gotta be careful with it, of course, in case that this impulse is not finished yet in a wave 5. It can still be unfolding here for a little bit lower and getting much more decisive, I would say, low. And if we dive even much more micro inside it on the 15-minute chart to analyze this low, right after this low here, you can see that if we are bullish here, we would like to see a 1, A, B, and a C wave 2. Okay, that's fine. And then you get another 1, 2. Now this wave 2 has almost took the low, right? So elimination, meaning if you want to consider a wave 2, that means now it is an A, B, and another wave C somehow, or W, X, and a Y, with a very long range wave 2. 1, 2, and then you move towards the upside, another 1, 2. Which is very low possibility, guys, right? So for bullish is kind of like impossible a little bit here after this low that we got. Now, if we move to this side, where we see, of course, this pump a little bit toward the upside. If we want to analyze this as an impulse, well, it's a horrible impulse, honestly, because if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave 2, no 0.38, and you have just one retracement, meaning, of course, this looks like a little bit much more like 3 waves toward the upside, A, B, and a C zigzag, followed by a correction, another finishing up here as an impulse, kind of like an A, B, and a C. And by all means, you have here potentially an ABC, you have an X, right, for another ABC, and a wave Y for another ABC as well. By all means, it's a very complex structure, corrective structure, meaning we're still looking for lower. As mentioned on the daily, I'm still looking for a decisive low and of course a better starting for an impulse. This is not a good starting for an impulse toward the upside. That was it for Tau. Let's move for the next one, which is virtuals. On the daily for virtuals, we have of course our impulse toward the upside 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're looking for a wave 5 for higher prices. Very clear, after a WX and a Y wave 4, we got an impulse, a clear impulse wave 1, so very nice. After this, we are expecting, of course, a 3-ways corrective and to move toward the upside. This did not happen, a question mark again. What is going on? Why we move very long sideways? Despite that it can be corrective and that we move for higher sooner or later, this has started to look kind of like a diagonal. We have a zigzag wave 1, we have a wave 2, we have a zigzag wave 3, we have a wave 4, and potentially zigzag wave 5. Taking the low without any signal to move for higher. We have hit our target, but we don't see yet any signal for higher, unless maybe one more low to hit exactly the 1-to-1 fib level, and then start the move toward the upside. If we dive deeper inside it, we can see also that after this impulse, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, potentially wave 5 finished there. But if we are bullish here and we dive deeper inside it, we can see clearly that this, of course, is a 3 waves upward, right? We have, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, of course, invalidation, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, again, probably can be, but you would like, of course, to see a better 1, 2 here. You have hit already the 886 and having another 1, 2, which is, of course, 3 waves towards the upside, which is, very low possibility, guys. Again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. An impulse here is fine, of course, with a correction and then continuation. And again, of course, moving down without taking the high, meaning the confirmation here was not given. You know, always 5 waves up, 3 waves down, continuation, breaking the high. This is your confirmation. Confirmation was not given even. Even if it is given here for higher, I doubt it because of the, of course, pattern that we have here. You have 3 waves up, 3 waves down. You might, of course, get another 3 waves up as W, X, and a Y, meaning one more low is very likely to have here for virtuals. And the low that I'm talking about, it how much lower it can be, well, it's not too much, guys. It can be simply taking the low there or touching the 1-to-1 fib level exactly, and then starting to see something really strong as bullish, as a very clear impulse wave 1. Therefore, not yet ready to move for higher, but of course in a macro level we are impulsive and very likely that we are in WX and a Y, but we gotta be careful as well from this 1, 2, potentially 3, 4, 5, or A, B, and a C that it might still be unfolding over there. And that because of course you see 5 waves, of course, downward. But of course it's very, very early to call this. I'm not, of course, yet a fan for it, but basically we have to consider it somehow. All right, we're gonna see what's gonna happen in the 1-to-1 fib level. I'm gonna keep also my alert here for virtuals in case we get, of course, to this area. Let me check. Here we go. All right, so that was it for virtual. We're gonna see XLM as well today for the daily. On the daily for XLM, let me just arrange the lower time frame and then turn on the daily. Here we go. So for the daily, on the all-time history for XLM, we are looking at an impulse towards the upside, finish wave 1 or a wave A, and followed by a WX and a Y in a triangle for a wave Y to finish wave 2, or a wave V, followed by an impulse towards the upside in a 1, 2, 3, wave 4, and we see a wave 5 start to form, of course, for higher prices. Now, are we ready to move for higher? Of course, this is a wave 4 here. In case that we are moving for higher, we would like to see, of course, an impulse starting, of course, for looking for higher prices. So if we dive inside it on the 2-hour chart to discover what's going on here. So basically, first of all, we have, of course, again, the same 5 ways potentially here. But the question mark here that we didn't took the low. And if this is a 1-2, well, it's a horrible wave 1, right? It looks like 3 ways towards the upside. And also the wave 2 is very deep, almost very close even to the start of this impulse, kind of like invalidation of any kind of start of an impulse upward. That means preferably is to register or record one more low, at least the 1-to-1 Fib level, again the same as before for virtuals. I'm still looking for a little bit lower, preferably the 1-to-1 Fib level. That would make sure that this complex structure, if it is a W, X, and a Y, is done finally, hitting the target and starting, of course, potentially a very nice 5 ways up, 3 ways down confirmation, of course, by breaking the high. If this happens, that means, of course, we are continuing the bull trend here and we are continuing towards the wave 5. So basically, I'm still looking for this. Don't forget, again, the same scenario, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, looks like a 5 ways in, of course, zigzags. So we gotta be careful as well. If this is an ABC, wave 2 in a wave B, can be, of course, a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, or a big A, B, and a C. We have to keep it in mind, guys. You know me, I'm always bullish and bearish scenario together, but of course, in a bigger and macro level, I'm more bullish, right? But on the micro level here, we gotta be careful, always, right? So we have to mention all the scenarios almost that it might unfold in the next time. Alright guys, so that was it for Tau, Virtuals, and XLM. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your likes and comments. See you in the next one. Bye bye.